maybe there's a DJ out there somewhere who has a few regrets and a list of things that he meant to do but hasn't gotten round to yet. Well, maybe you'll feel a little empathy and play this on his FM show. Better late than never. Here's my thanks to whoever plays my song on the radio. Better late than never. Here's my thanks to whoever plays my song on the radio.
Good day, planet Earth. Michael Litten, the last DJ, host of Ride the Vibe, broadcasting from the DRS ATL studio in Roswell, Georgia. My friend and owner of the studio, Wahid Gomes, at the technology, making it happen. It wouldn't be a Ride the Vibe without Wahid working his magic, getting this technology going, because there's a lot of moving parts and pieces when you've got people remoting in and using Source Connect and all this and that. But at any rate, we got it going thanks to Wahid. Got a beautiful setting here in the DRS ATL studio, and super stoked to have the rare birds on the show. Well, not all the birds, but a couple of the birds. We got Andrew Cylar and Brandon Neal. Fellas, welcome.
Hey.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, excited to be here.
Oh, man, we are super stoked. And the rare birds create original music inspired by the best of the 70s rock, blues, gospel, and soul. Now, how cool is that? Hey, and Andrew and Brandon, for your fans that are legion and growing, that may not be familiar with Ride the Vibe, the way we roll the show is we suggest that the listeners sit back in a comfortable environment, because it's a podcast. They can listen wherever they want and get a beverage of their choice. And what we're going to do is we're playing 6 of y'all's songs off your latest release, a full-length album called ATL. We're going to play only a couple minutes of these 6 songs because we'd like the listeners to actually go out and buy the music if that suits their fancy, or at least download it millions of times so Andrew and Brandon can make a couple chuckles in the process. And then we're just going to chat about all things related to the album and the music and kind of a digital liner notes. And in the studio, we are featuring one of our sponsors, DrinkMate. And DrinkMate is the carbonate anything drink maker. So if you're looking for a way to get off sugar-sweetened beverages or looking for a way to reduce your recycling, they will carbonate anything for you. And it's a super cool way to stay healthy and have a refreshing beverage. And unlike their competitor can't carbonate anything. And the other thing I learned from a musician friend just recently that got himself one of these DrinkMates, and he'd been using the competitor product. With DrinkMate, you just order the carbonating cylinders, and they'll ship them to you. And then when you use them up, you just send them back, and they give you a credit, and then you just keep that process going, sort of like back in the old days when we were recycling glass bottles that way, et cetera, et cetera. And the competitor, as I understand it, you go to Walmart, you buy it there, and then you try to get the CO2 cartridges, and you can't get them, et cetera, et cetera. So love our DrinkMate. So, fellas, I hope you've got a beverage in hand, and welcome to the show.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So talk about how y'all got together in 2018.
So basically, Shawn Thacker, who is our drummer, sat in, I had a band, or Suzanne and I had a band called 6875.
Yeah.
And we were playing our last show at Smith's Old Bar, and we had Shawn sitting in on drums. And he is such a fantastic drummer that, literally after the show, I just ran up to him and I said, man, we gotta do some things, like, would you be into, trying to put something together? And he said, yeah. And so Shawn and I called up a dear old friend of mine, and a guy named Justin Sanker, who is an amazing bass player, who was helping us out. His day job is Atlanta Rhythm Section, so he was helping us out, trying to get some tunes together. And lo and behold, we got some riffs and some chords and some things going, and then we got Brandon Neal, who came in and kind of gave the songs life. He kind of walked up to the microphone and made it happen.
I love it. And so the current lineup is you got Brandon on vocals and guitar, Shawn's doing drums, Shawn Thacker doing drums and percussion, and then is it Ben Jenkins on bass and vocals?
Ben Jerkins, from Muscle Shoals. Yeah, he's on bass.
Nice. So. And then Andrew, you're the another guitarist.
Yeah, that's basically it.
I love it. Well, and I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to the amazing, the one and only Lucy Pillar, the founder of All Right Now Entertainment, because it is through Lucy. I say of Lucy, that's probably, you got the Kevin Bacon thing, 7 degrees of separation. But I think in the music world, I can safely say that it's 1 to 2 degrees of separation from Lucy knowing every musician on the planet.
Absolutely. She's a resource, man. She's amazing. She
is a dynamo. Well, I guess when you are very best friends with Paul Rogers, you're going to pretty much know every musician.
And it's so cool because, I don't know if she's got a notebook. She wrote a note when she was, younger and going to all these shows back in London. She wrote down every show that she ever, went to go see. Yeah. And if it'll floor you.
Yeah. Where did you guys meet, Andrew or Brandon?
Well, I met Lucy through Suzanne, actually, who I had a band called 6875. Yeah. And, again, Lucy's just a great supporter of music, a great resource. If you need to know something, if you need some advice, if you just even want to talk about music, she's just fantastic. Yeah. And I'm, Suzanne and I we are and still are huge fans of Free, which of course was Paul Kossoff and Paul Rogers and Simon Kirk and Andy Fraser rather. So love that band, and she's just got nobody knows more about Free and Bad Company than Lucy.
Yeah, she's the photographic version of Almost Famous, stumbles into the backstage of Free before they're, known to anybody and says, "Hey, you mind if I take pictures of y'all?" "Oh, no, go ahead and do it." And she said, "Can I come to your next shows?" And this cracked me up. They go, "Well, where are our next shows?" She goes, "Well, you're playing over here, here, here." She knew exactly where they were going to be playing.
So, that's a gift, man.
And then took pictures.
Truly is a gift.
And to tie into what Andrew's saying, a little tip for you all. If you don't know Free or don't know Bad Company, before you talk to Lucy, you better familiarize yourself with them. Because otherwise you'll be right behind the 8 ball. Well, again, thank you, Lucy. And let's cue up Thistle Down, if we could, Wahid. That's the opening track, I believe, on the album ATL by the Rare Birds. And then we'll be back and talk about all things more music.
I've been pulling up all of my, and it
Thistle Down by the Rare Birds. Love that vocal styling, Mr. Brandon. Awesome. Powerful.
Appreciate that. Yeah. It's easy when you got some big bad dudes behind you too, man. You know?
You're too modest. Well, Plunger UK says Atlanta's Rare Birds have the perfect retro-styled high-octane convergence to whisk you to a better times. And I would agree with that. Who is Plunger UK, just out of curiosity?
Plunger UK is a brilliant guy. His name is Maury Stewart. And Maury Stewart is another one of those, he's writes for several blues publications, writes for, I think he's written for classic rock. There's just a list of publications that he has written for.
Yeah.
And he's just a great guy that will always, like, you could send him something and he'll tell you straight out what he thinks of it. But he's also another one of these people who, he's just a great resource because, been going to shows, knows a ton about music. Yeah. And, every time I talk to him, he's always like, hipping me to something, someone I should be listening to, or, he's just a great guy to, kind of go back and forth
a resource
with. And, he always shoots us straight and lets us know, where we stand as far as what we're sending him.
Well, I would agree with his assessment. Is he out of the UK?
Yeah, he's out of the UK. He's in Epping, I believe. Okay. The village of Epping, which I believe is outside of London. I'm not sure exactly where. But he's also both he and his brother are also just brilliant photographers, man. And if you he's got on Instagram, he's Epping Schlepping. And if you can find him, man, if you're into photographs of mushrooms, man, he's your guy.
Is he a mushroom connoisseur? Is he,
he takes a lot of photographs. We'll just leave it at that.
All right, perfect. Well, good.
Right.
We'll talk about this song, Thistle Down. This is the first song, I believe, off your full-length LP.
Cool. I'm going to let Brandon jump on this.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So Thistle Down came together. I guess we probably started writing that. Either before the pandemic kind of hit or right at the start of the pandemic, we were able to get back together again, and we wrote a bunch of these new songs. It was cool. Andrew kind of had this really cool kind of page kind of riff going on, and Shawn and Ben, kind of perfectly play to that, the way it's kind of floating between these little kind of rhythmic sections. And it's a cool one. I think I like kind of writing it because, Andrew, he tells a story where Thistle Down was a horse track up around Cleveland, where he was growing up. So that's where he was kind of referencing it.
Interesting.
And even though the song kind of went lyrically in a slightly different direction, I think, it kind of, there's a lot of that same kind of, I guess, energy or feelings that's being described in the song.
What's your process? How do you all work? Do you have a formula, or is it more free-flowing? Or it sounds like very collaborative from what you just said, Brandon.
Yeah, I'd say it's very collaborative. One thing is Andrew, I say it in all these because he probably works harder than any musician that I know, and just constantly churning out ideas, man. He's always got something, sending them over. And so, he'll often have riffs or these little chord progressions. Me and him will get together and kind of see what feels right, what doesn't, and kind of start molding the clay. And then once we get Shawn and Ben kind of involved, and they basically add the entire rest of the song behind it.
Yeah.
And I try to get some lyrics that sound okay, and sometimes it works out. So we're really happy with Thistle Down for sure.
So, in the spirit of this, digital liner notes kind of format, so the writing credit would go to who on this Thistle Down track?
The writing credit, lyrically, that would be me.
Yep.
I would say a majority of kind of the musical progression would go to Andrew.
Yeah. Yes. We always put it down as, Neal Kyler.
Ah, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So Lennon McCartney sort of thing. I like that.
Would love to. Yeah. That's
who's who.
Yeah.
That's right. That's awesome. Very cool. Well, let us, if we could, cue up "Lying to Yourself." I believe this is the second track, if I have my notes right on this, and then we'll come back. And I want to ask you, Andrew, where you lived in Cleveland when we get back, because I spent some formative years there. So we'll be right back. We're going to hear Lying to Yourself.
Tell me what have they done? Your words have blocked out the sun. You bought a twister, you call a firestorm, bringing down the ceiling onto everyone. Quit your lying to yourself. So what's it gonna change? Quit your crying to yourself and blame it on the retrograde. Well, said now, brother, I know your intentions are pure, but that don't make for no cure. When the mother better hold your tongue, you know you come back for dollars from Judas Osborne. With your lying to yourself, so what's it gonna change? Quit your crying to yourself and blame it on the retrograde. You say, oh, Milky Way's in retrograde. When you're lying to yourself.
That is Lying to Yourself by the Rare Birds. The quartet creates original music inspired by the best of the 70s rock, blues, gospel, and soul, as I mentioned at the opening, following the likes of Humble Pie and early Fleetwood Mac. And we'll talk about why there's a difference. Savoy Brown, Wishbone Ash, love me some Wishbone Ash, groups that were the cornerstone of much of the British blues in the late 60s and 70s, recalling their gritty approach and ringing guitar solos. And just as the Allman Bros drank from the same bottle, you can hear the echoes of Duane and Greg in the Rare Bird songs. And that's a quote from Creative Loafing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, so basically, yeah, it's I'm at Creative Loafing, but that was written by Tony Paris. So Tony's on the editorial side of things. I'm on the sales side of things. So it's it's kind of like a separation between church and state.
Yeah. Very nice. Well, I would agree with Tony's write-up as well, which is awesome. So how long with Creative Loafing, Andrew?
Oh, many moons.
Nice.
So,
yeah. Kind of when I first moved here, that was the go-to publication to find out all things music, where it was happening, for sure. And still is, I believe, right?
Yeah, it's still going. Yeah.
Yeah, and still pointing people to where they can go see good live music. I love it. Well, where in Cleveland, just out of curiosity?
So I grew up on East Cleveland. So basically, Cleveland is kind of like East Cleveland, West, the West Side, East Side.
Yeah.
And then later we moved to a part of town called Shaker.
Yeah. Sure.
But as far as growing up, I would get on a bus, get on they have what we call the transits, which are the trains.
Yeah.
You get on a train and you just basically go anywhere. I would go down into the flats. I'd go over into Coventry. Coventry was kind of happening, where you find cutout records. And they used to have a DJ called Michigan Mom. Sometimes she'd be hanging out in there, and she would always kind of shoot you straight and tell you, what you should be checking out. And she'd kind of look and see where you were buying, and kind of, without ever saying specifically anything, she would let you know whether you were on the right track or not.
I love it.
Yeah,
well,
so those were kind of cool years. And there was also a spot there called Mayfield Music, which was really kind of a cool place to go. Just meet and listen to people.
Well, I was a little bit ahead of you, but I went to Fernway Elementary School and then Woodbury
Junior
High, and would have gone to Shaker, but moved blissfully, not that Cleveland wasn't cool, but I went out to California. So, and
all right,
in the Haight-Ashbury
part of California,
in the Haight-Ashbury Bay Area. So,
Rock on.
So it was a nice little change.
Okay.
Hey, but enough about me. Talk about lying to yourself. Talk about this track, which I love.
Well, Brandon, I'm going to let you jump on that.
All right, I'll jump on it as well. Lying to Yourself is a cool one. Kind of got a little more energy, a little danceable kind of groove. Shawn, I think, does a real cool job, holding down the tambourine and the drum beat at the same time, and really kind of helping that push forward. And I think on that one you can hear Ben Jerkins as well giving us some background vocals, which he does from time to time. So another way he's getting involved with us. But yeah, I really like that song. It's just got a lot of kind of energy, a little kind of frustration in it, while kind of still being, a little bouncy and nod your head. I like sitting in that kind of middle ground right there. So
I love it. How did that? What was the inspiration for whoever wrote it?
What would the inspiration have been? My guess. I mean, I was kind of, I know that was in, I was kind of coming out of a breakup, I think, and kind of dealing with some changing life seasons. And
yes.
There's probably a little bit of that song written angrily at somebody else, and probably a little bit more of it that should be written angrily at myself.
There you go.
I love it. Well, there you sum it up. I love it. And so the creative loafing, the Tony Paris quote, kind of cues up the question about your musical influences. And Andrew, you talked a little bit about it with your formative years in Cleveland, but talk about Humble Pie and early Fleetwood Mac, and kind of delineate for folks that may not be familiar, if you would, the difference, because I think purists or musicologists do say, early.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference, and the main difference is just the genius of Peter Green.
Peter Green.
So
right.
Peter Green, Danny Kerwin, Jeremy Spencer. I mean, and of course, Mick and John, which were, of course, the reason why they named the band, Fleetwood Mac, is because Peter Green just thought that they were just the most amazing bass and drums going, and he was not wrong. So they were just an amazing band, and if anybody out there has a chance, you can just get on YouTube and do a deep dive. There is just some amazing live recordings of Fleetwood Mac. I'm thinking of one particular show that they did in, I believe it was in Oslo, in Norway, and it's almost like Peter Green is just like shooting thunderbolts from his guitar. I mean, just the sound of his guitar, and just the way that they all kind of play together, bass in between, the notes that they're all hitting. It's pretty incredible.
Is he one of your your models, your inspirations?
Oh yeah, he's definitely up there. I mean, I of course, I love all the Kings, B.B. King, King, Freddie King, like
all y'all's Kings.
Yeah, I mean, I love stuff a lot. Obviously, we were talking earlier. About Free. But there's also a lot of players that maybe people don't know, like Cornell Dupree, who played with Aretha Franklin. Just an amazing, rhythm guitar player. There's just all sorts of people that I pick up. I'm thinking about the Funky Meters. There's just a lot of things that you hear, and of course just the Stones. Brandon and I are always talking about the Stones, but the Stones from that. That magical period, kind of like 71. I'm thinking like as a live band, 71 through 76, when they had Billy Preston with them, and they still had Mick Taylor on guitar, and they had Bobby Keys. I mean, you just could not beat that band. They were just amazing.
Love it. Well, Brandon, talk a little bit about where you kind of grew up, formative years, and some of your influences. Sounds like a lot of overlap with Andrew, but where you grew up, maybe in formative years, etc.
Yeah, there's definitely a little overlap, but we definitely have a little bit of a different background. Me coming from Tennessee, East Tennessee, and then kind of largely, I guess, growing up around a lot of like gospel music and at the same time, some old country music sometimes, some Hank Sr. maybe sometimes, and then some, like he was saying, the Rolling Stones was definitely a fixture.
Yeah.
Growing up, so kind of a combination of all the, a lot of blues, a lot of soul, a lot of.
Did you get your start in church? So many.
I did. I did.
Yes, have come on the show and got their start singing in the church choir. Or is that?
I definitely did not sing at that time. Singing wasn't something I guess I adopted until kind of later, moving into more unholy pursuits. But I mean, the time that I'd spent, the musicians I got to play with in church and kind of be around and kind of the things that I think opportunities afforded to young musicians, I think the church is a perfect, kind of, nursing ground for people trying to figure out how to play in a band and pick up a lot of that kind of live improv kind of chops. So
that's where you got your start as a guitarist in church.
That would be correct. Yeah.
I'll be darned. And playing gospel stuff, is that, and then the country you mentioned is?
Yeah, and played a little bit of country as well before I moved down here to Atlanta. But you can imagine the voice we were talking about before may not have played quite so well, during the offering call or whatever. So,
well, in the modern church, perhaps, but maybe not back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, awesome. Well, if we could, Mr. Waheed, if we could cue up Little Bird, and that's off of Rare Bird's full-length album called ATL. And what an appropriate type, because they're out of ATL.
Little bird, tell me, where do you summer? 'Cause I heard that you've been known to wonder. Lately I've seen you haven't been singing quite the same. Little bird, what's happened to your mane? You gotta find you a feather, love. We dig up a couple more. Try to bind them together. Little bird, and watch you soar. Until the wild thing can't hurt you no more. Little bird, down there, stuck in the bramble, unseen, unheard, and unable to ramble. I hear you cry, you'll never fly in love or understanding. But there's a key to the skies in your hand, dear. You gotta find you a feather. I'll help dig up a couple more. Try and bind them together. Let the burn watch you soar.
You are back on Ride the Vibe. Michael Litten, the last DJ, playing what he wants to play and saying what he wants to say. A shout out to the last great, brilliant, one of the most brilliantest songwriters, Mr. Tom Petty. And Peter Anthony of QBurn Radio, 365radio.com, and Radio Carolina UK says, sounds like the real deal to me. And I would agree with that. Awesome. Talk about this song, y'all.
Oh, come on.
Yep, I can jump in. This one, kind of written through, I guess, the same kind of process we were talking about before.
Yeah.
Was written, I guess, really about, kind of all these songs were written kind of in the same period. I guess maybe some of them are a little more healthy expressions of that than others. But this one, I think, is really kind of about, either with your own self or working with someone you care about who's in your life, and kind of trying to do your best to, help pick them up and kind of help push them along, without detriment to yourself and without, allowing them that space, to be what they need to be. And you just want to be there to help.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, really where that one comes from.
What's the, do you have a set time? Is it the inspirations come at all times? You put it in a notebook, on your phone? How does that?
I have got a completely unmanageable note file in my phone of, anything from just like, hey, there's a few words that sound kind of funny together, sound kind of cool together, to just the most rambling, incoherent, sound like a freshman art student, trying to do poetry. But yeah, so I've got, a lot of kind of stuff sitting around, and then, a whole lot of kind of files of riffs that Andrew's been working on that he'll send over, and then just kind of see what starts to kind of stick together a little bit.
See what sparks.
I love it. So do you guys get together weekly, monthly? I mean, how's that work out? How's your schedule? How do the schedules work out?
Well, yeah. So we basically try to get together at least once a week. Everyone's super busy and, got all sorts of different things going on.
Yeah.
So, sometimes we'll miss a week, or then sometimes it'll be like when we're getting ready to do some recording, we might get together 2 or 3 times a week, just to try to make sure that we have it down.
You're tight,
But, it just kind of depends.
Yeah. Well, you touched on your mates earlier in the show, but flesh out a little bit their backgrounds. Shawn Thacker on drums and percussion, and Ben Jerkins on bass and vocals.
Yes. So Shawn Thacker is, I believe he's one of the best drummers in Atlanta, and he's played with a ton of different bands. He's, some people might know him from Southern Gothic, which is another band that he plays for that is pretty amazing. They've been around for, I want to say about 10 years.
Wow.
People who are kind of into like the Little 5 Points area, fans of the Star Bar might, recognize Shawn from having played in a band called Truckadelic, which has its own cult of followers. Shawn's also played in a band called Rock City Dropouts. He's been in a lot of bands, so it's kind of like the funny thing about Atlanta is it's a big city, but it's also kind of like we talked about the 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
So you talk to any musician, they know someone that or they've they worked in a studio that knows someone that So it's kind of one of those things where even years before we started playing with Shawn, we certainly knew who he was. And Ben's done a lot of stuff. Ben grew up actually kind of in and around the Muscle Shoals area. And, we just kind of hang around studios and anytime somebody needed somebody to sing a backup part or do something, he was always there to kind of jump in on that. And so he's kind of a utility player for us. He can, do these great harmonies with Brandon, and he can kind of hold down the bottom end. So that's, super helpful. And we really appreciate having Ben as well.
So he's steeped in that, as Aretha said, that greasy sound of Muscle Shoals.
Yeah. So, and a lot of it, again, a lot of it, it's the space between the notes. It's kind of the unspoken thing, where, we'll just start a groove, and sometimes it'll just kind of fall into place. And then, sometimes you kind of have to shelve it and come back to it. But, that's when the magic happens. It's kind of when, it's all kind of falling into place. And then Brandon comes in with, something that he's got on his mind.
I love it. Well, we are going to take just a very, very short break to support a sponsor near and dear to my heart, the Foundation for Premature Infants. But while we're on this little break, I want you all to think about, if you're willing, to answer the question about something your fans might like to know about you, but you've never shared. That would be a first on Ride the Vibe. You don't have to, your choice, but just ponder that question, and we'll be right back after this short break. The number of premature infants born in the United States each year, 380,000. That's 9.8% of the total births in the U.S. The Foundation for Premature Infants' mission is to advocate for the right of all premature infants to be cared for in a developmentally supportive and age-appropriate manner. Our vision is to ensure that Premature Infants' Bill of Rights is the standard of care for all babies born prematurely, 24 hours per day, 365 days per year, on all shifts, in every neonatal intensive care unit throughout the world. Please consider making a donation by visiting us on Facebook, Foundation for Premature Infants, or at our website, foundationforprematureinfants.org. You are back on Ride the Vibe. Michael Litten, the last DJ, and also the founder of the Foundation for Premature Infants. And that money that we generate from those generous donations, not a lot, but we're blessed to get what we get, we give away to help educate clinicians that care for those little people, the most fragile, vulnerable little people. But Record Plug Magazine says kick-ass, chest barring rock and roll reminds you of Deep Purple, Lenny Kravitz, P-Funk, or the Stones, but eyes closed, they sound like themselves. And like the Rare Birds would be an accomplishment for any man, or to sound like the Rare Birds, I should quote right, would be an accomplishment for any band. So, gents, we're back. What any thoughts you want to share that your fans might not know about you that they'd like to know?
Of all of the questions I get from our adoring fans daily,
yes,
I'm joking. I guess trying to think of something goofy or something kind of off the wall a little bit. I guess fans probably wouldn't know that my first paying gigs playing music was as the lead singer of a trio wedding band.
Ah.
And if there is one venue that you probably don't want to, come in a little unsure of yourself,
yeah,
it's probably during a, daddy-daughter first dance or something like that.
Yes.
And there are definitely a couple where some songs didn't go quite so well. So fortunately, that doesn't happen so much now. But I guess that's something folks probably don't know.
And Brandon, do you remember the song that they asked you to play that didn't go so well?
So I'm trying to remember. They requested it like very last minute, and it was a song I had. It was like a Tim McGraw song or something. Yeah. So I didn't know it. I'd never heard it, and they let me know. I was driving back into Knoxville. I spent about basically 5 hours in the car listening to this.
To learn it.
To learn. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not going to give too many opinions about that.
Oh,
all right.
Well, and Andrew, do you want to jump in on that one, or do you want to pass?
In terms of what people might want to know,
yeah.
Hopefully they want to know when we're playing next.
Yes, well, I like that. Cue that up.
So this month we're going to be actually doing a couple free. We're going to do one of our favorite things to do is there's a festival called Porch Fest.
Okay.
That is just insane. Where all these people it's a neighborhood in Atlanta called Oakhurst.
Okay.
And on a specific day this year, it's going to be on October the 14th.
Okay.
They invite all of these bands, and the bands basically play on the front porch or the front yard or whatever. They just kind of, you bring a PA and you just kind of blast.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun to do. And so we're going to do that. And then we're playing another venue that's off of, it's called King of Pops.
Okay.
Which is right off of Memorial Decatur Street.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a new setup they have where they're having some live music there.
Yeah.
And then we're going to be starting.
What's the date of that show, Andrew? The King of Pops?
That show is going to be on the 21st of October.
Okay.
And then
what start times on these things? Porch Fest?
So on Porch Fest, I believe everything kicks off about 1:00.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that we're probably going to go on maybe around 3 or 4.
Okay.
But there's like a whole schedule. Like if you go to Oakhurst Porch Fest, they've got a whole schedule and map of all the places that and bands that you can kind of check out. King of Pops, we're going to be
and just,
there.
on Porch Fest, is there a mission, or people show up with their own beverages and chairs?
You know, every house has its own rules, and it's kind of cool. You can kind of bring what you got and just kind of roam from
house to
street to street. Yeah. And, you know, actually a lot of people kind of find us that way because we are typically loud.
Yeah.
So we're easy to find.
Yeah.
King of Pops, we're going to start at, I believe, 5 p.m.
Okay.
And play to about 8 o'clock. It's an outdoor gig.
Okay.
And then we're going to be back.
Is that admission? Is that a pay admission at that?
I believe both of these shows in October are free. So
nice.
If you are low on funds and high on life, you can come on down.
Nice.
Check those shows.
Will they be able to buy the CD, the ATL Rarebirds CD?
If they come up to any of the band members and give us the secret handshake, they are able to walk over to greet Mayor, who handles all of our merch. Yeah. And Mayor can guide them through a menu of items.
Nice.
That for their delight.
Buy. And it would be only right if they're getting to these shows for free, they should buy some. So you guys,
we would love to have them walk out with
everything, a
Rarebirds T-shirt, CD, or any number of items.
Not your equipment though. Just keep their hands off.
No, that's we want to keep that. And then in November, we're going to be doing some other shows at StarBar and some other things coming up. So,
and where's the best place for folks to find you? Where do you point them?
So on Bandcamp, of course, you can find us at Rarebirds ATL.
Okay.
And Rarebirds ATL is kind of your key to find us everywhere. So if you're on Instagram, you go to Rarebirds ATL. If you're on Facebook, you go to Rarebirds ATL. Or you just if you just type in your search bar, just Rarebirds ATL, YouTube, that's where we come up. So we would love folks to kind of, check us out.
I love it.
And hopefully come out and, if you're within driving distance, we would love to see you at a live show.
Well, absolutely. Because Neil Young said it very succinctly. Live music is better. So I would strongly encourage everybody to get out and see him live and then buy something from him, y'all. Because, again, you're getting in these gigs, King of Pops and Porch Fest for free. Well, let's cue up because Brendan kind of led us down a little bit of the country path, talking about his singing at a wedding, Tim McGraw song. Let's cue up Dolly Parton, if we could, while he's going. Sheets Back on Ride the Vibe. Michael Litten, the last DJ, having a great conversation and playing some killer music from the Rare Birds. And SSR says of the Rare Birds, ATL, give you a glimpse of how rock used to be with a makeover for today. So, gents, talk about, there must be a story behind Dolly Parton, the song we just featured a little bit, and then also the name Rare Birds. Where did that come from?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to let Dolly Parton's a hero, so I'm going to let Brandon talk about Dolly, and then I'll jump in and answer about where we got Rare Birds.
Nice.
Yeah. So Dolly Parton, like I was talking about before, being up from the East Tennessee, Knoxville kind of area up there. Dolly Parton, as she is, everywhere, but up there, she's a real hero in everything she kind of did for the community. So grew up, she was named, she was ubiquitous around town. And then I guess we were talking, one night when Andrew and I were working out some kind of new ideas for songs. And at one point, one of us referenced how, kind of the story of legend where Dolly Parton wrote Jolene and I Will Always Love You in like a single day, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're like, well, what are we doing wrong? How do we do that? Because that's how easy it is. Yeah. And so I think, really kind of the name of that song is Dolly Parton. The song is not about Dolly Parton in any way, shape, or form or reminiscent, but, it's kind of
just a tribute to her. Many, I've heard from many of the musicians over the years, Wahid and I have been doing this, that some of the best stuff comes, and at all levels, whether it's local bands or big bands, some of the best stuff comes just boom, 15 minutes or one day and that kind of thing. Talk about something that people might not know about Dolly Parton's generosity, Brandon, because I've got one story that I've heard and I thought it was pretty fascinating about her. She's got a program where if you want a book, do I have that right?
Yep.
You can. Talk about that. I'll bollocks it all up.
I'm trying to recall the exact name of the program, but essentially, it started, she's from a log cabin up in Sevierville. Yeah. And, lack of access to education was literacy rates were really rough up there. Yeah. And so that particular program, she started a program where she would buy books and essentially mail children's books to your house once a year for every kid, up until, maybe middle school. And, that's just one example. Yeah, everyone living up there, can speak to what she's done for the community. And
I love it.
And Porter Wagner has some thanks to send her way as well.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, Rare Birds, Andrew, take it away.
Yeah. So it's had a band called 6875, and we were going on hiatus, and I was chatting with a good friend of mine, and she was explaining to me that her partner was going to go out in the woods and take a thermos and sit around with friends and wait to see what they would hope would be some rare birds. And it just the whole idea of, because a rare bird doesn't know they're rare. Right. So, birds are somewhat commonplace, but, just the idea that, that you could be commonplace, but yet and still there might be something about you that would be, worth, taking notice of, so we want to be that band that is a rare bird. We want to be the band that, is worth going out, sitting in the woods and, waiting for us to come by.
Or sitting on a porch on October 14th.
Yeah,
or going to the King of Pops on October 21st. I love it.
You can bring a thermos to both.
Or of your favorite beverage. Yes. And you can have a drink mate there too, if you will. So we are going to go roll to Voodoo. But before we do that, I want to throw this out to y'all. So if you're inclined, think about putting together, you're a manager, and you can put together a 3-piece band, including any musician live or dead. So think about that, 3-piece band, any musician that's currently alive or has passed us. And we're going to play Voodoo and come back and see if you want to take a bite on that answer. Cue it up, Wahid. Voodoo.
words will tell you. When your mama said I love you, mojo, you sip of your witch's brew. When your mama said I love you, choo-choo, you will say if I do me, baby, my lucky number. I tell my baby sing on after that. Ooh, am I gonna see you later? I wonder. When I get to pet your black cat. Hey, baby, can you read my future? With your eyes like a crystal ball, you gon' build me up, roll me down, shake me around like a voodoo doll. When your mama said I love your mojo, you sip of your witch's brew. When your mama said I love your choo-choo, ooh, say if I don't mean baby,
That is the Rare Birds ATL whipping some voodoo on you. And the last DJ, not supposed to have favorites, but if I had a gun to my head, I might say that's one of my favorites off this album, y'all. Love it. Talk about that song. And then if you're inclined, your 3-piece band selection, if you want.
Yeah, so that's good to hear. That's a fun one. That's probably one of the first songs that we wrote together. I believe back when we were first getting together as a band, and it's we used up one of our, I think, limited cowbell cards on Shawn to get him to really lay into the cowbell with that one.
Well, someone said famously, more cowbell, more cowbell.
Yeah, and they were right.
Yeah, I mean, I think the groove on that one's, it's real fun. It's real solid. It's just kind of a quick, snappy little tune.
Yeah, I love it. Very cool. All right, you guys, any takers on your 3-piece bands?
So 3-piece band.
And you don't have to answer again. You're on Ride the Vibe.
I would love to hear what John Bonham, Stevie Wonder, and Jimi Hendrix would do in a studio.
Oh my God!
I just think it would be, because Stevie can play everything.
Yes.
And I just think they would come up with some really cool stuff.
Yeah, I love it. Very cool. Excellent. Andrew, Brandon, you can pass or you can answer. It's your choice.
I mean, I don't know that I could give an answer that's better than that one. I'll put that down.
All right, so you're going to be in agreement. Well, cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's just flying by, and I would be remiss if I didn't get in Wire. So if we could, let's cue up Wire here as we wrap up the show, but we'll come back right after Wire.
won't you let me down, babe? Just let me in. Long the sound, the taste, the touch of 10. I don't need no forgiveness for these sins. I'm a warm body, baby. Use me to your end. The world will break, the world will shape your soul. You gave me escape, but baby, I built a wall. So give me all your diamonds and I'll turn them back to gold. Feel your skin and start to dig a hole. But there ain't nowhere that I will let you go. Yeah. Dug my teeth in deep, let me
Rare Birds LP, full-length LP, ATL. And I've got to ask you all this one last question. It may be maybe a lengthy answer, but if you can. What you've got, like, I think 14 songs, is that right, on this LP?
So the actual the album has 9 songs.
Okay.
We put 14 on the CD because you can. So we basically the CD has the new record, which is the 9 songs, plus our self-titled EP on that.
Okay.
When we have the vinyl come out, it'll actually have the 9 songs on the vinyl because of course when you put more songs on vinyl, the sound quality kind of degrades a little. So we're going to probably go with fewer songs.
I love
and
it.
then we've got another 18 songs in the can that we're currently working on, and hopefully we'll have some new things to release come 2024.
Wow, love it. Well, so just the question was, in this day and age where everybody's doing singles, one-off, this and that, how did you guys come to the decision to do what you've done, which I think is near and dear to my heart, I will tell you?
Well, I mean, it's the cool thing about an album is it's kind of a journey.
Yes.
And so, another reason why we kind of put all of those 14 songs together, those 14 songs, we've been working with Jeff Tomei out at Cock of the Walk Studios out there. It's Jesse Dupree's from Jackal. He's got a studio out in Kennesaw. So we recorded all of those songs there, and actually I had Justin Sanker was on bass on a couple of those, and Joe was on bass on a couple, and Ben played bass on I think the lion's share of those. But those songs all kind of have a vibe that is from that particular studio.
Yep.
And then we're working with another guy, Keith Evans, who's got like an amazing mobile studio. Yeah. And one of the things, we always talk about, one of our favorite periods for the Rolling Stones was kind of exile. So we were talking ourselves into, how do you get that kind of mobile, recording studio sound? And Keith and Shawn were able to kind of come up with something that helped us do that. So we're really excited about that project coming out too. But to get back to your point, we think that all of those songs, all of the 14 songs kind of work together and kind of tell a story. So that's kind of why we put them out together. I
would agree. I've been listening to all 14, which I got on my Napster account. And if any of you are dinosaurs like me and have Napster/Rhapsody, you have to look for Rare Birds as one word. I don't know why they did it that way. Well, this has just been a fascinating conversation. Love the music. Love the music. And these are not one-offs. So if you enjoyed it and are inclined when you get the new project out, we'd love to have you come back on Ride the Vibe. Michael Litten, The Last DJ, Andrew Cylar, and Brandon Neal of the Rare Birds on the Vibe. We are out of here.
Better get her done, son, because the hour is growing late. Maybe there's a DJ out there somewhere who has a few regrets and a list of things that he meant to do but hasn't gotten round to yet. Well, maybe he'll feel a little empathy and play this on his FM show. Better late than never. Here's my thanks to whoever plays my song on